I set out my intention for this channel in the name of God, the most merciful, the most kind. So it seems to me to make sense why I believe in God, as it is such a central part of my life, and inshallah, God willing, will be a central part of this channel. And I'm not going to do a whole philosophy 101 on, the reasons of the people believe in the existence of God. It's not the arguments for the existence of God, nor am I going to try and convince anyone to believe in God. It's simply why I believe. My journey, my reality, ultimately. And I feel in life pretty much that's often all we can really offer. So here it is. And I have to be honest, I feel truly blessed, truly blessed by my belief in God. And it's something that has been with me my entire life. My mummy used to say to me, I can't remember a time when you didn't believe in God. And nor can I. I can't remember a point when belief in God was not a central part of my life. I experience God intuitively. I experience God as a deep and profound feeling inside of me. It's like you know something. You meet somebody and you just know something about them, or you have a feeling that something's going to happen, or you kind of know something deep in you. That's how I feel about my belief in God. It's intrinsic to me. And the Quran describes God as being closer to us than our jugular vein. And I find that really powerful, and I guess it's how I feel, because for me, belief in God, it's cellular. it's at my core. And it's just that deep sense of belief, and that's ultimately where it comes from. Now, I haven't got everything worked out. I haven't figured out all the answers. Goodness knows, I have so many questions about everything every day. I don't always understand God's plan. I regularly don't understand God's plan for me or for this world, or how things work. But my belief in God, my inner core cellular belief, it's as natural to me as breathing. I can't imagine not breathing. I can't imagine not believing in God. Now that's not to say I take it for granted. I don't want it, it's not something where you just, I just believe. It's not some great, like mystery. I kind of object to that when people say that to me or tell others believe. No, I don't take it for granted. Nothing precious should be taken for granted. And my belief is truly precious to me. Belief in God is something I take very seriously, actually. I think about it all the time, if I'm honest. I think about it every single day, multiple times a day. I talk about it with people who I'm around. It's sort of a central conversation to me, and what it means for me, for them, for life, for the universe. And ultimately, whilst for me it feels completely natural, as I say, as natural as breath, it's also completely logical. For me, it literally is the most logical option. And indeed, to my mind, belief in God is scientific, it's rational. And the Quran itself is dedicated to people who think. So I feel like we should think about things. I object when we get told, well, it's a mystery, don't ask questions, you have to believe, it's written. No, the Quran is dedicated to people who think. We're rational beings, and to stop thinking and to stop asking questions strikes me as absolutely counter to our human nature. Our human nature is restless, it's inquisitive, it's searching. And thinking is a fundamental human quality, and I believe we should be grateful for that cognition, for that rationality, and we should apply it to belief in God as anything else. So for me, when I think about belief in God, fundamentally I see two options. The first is that it's to believe that the entire physical universe came out of nothing. Zilch. Nada. Zero. Which I find logically implausible, or I believe that the entire physical universe came from something which is beyond our capacity to understand. And as humans, we have lots of different names for it. We call it God, we call it Jehovah, Dios, Theos, or Thixo, Allah, X, the unifying equation. But whatever we call it, it's not an it. But that makes more sense to me. And when I look at these two options, when I weigh them up, I mean, honestly, seriously, am I supposed to believe that the entire physical universe, there's nothing, and then there's the universe? There's absolutely, we're at zero, and from zero, there's a big bang, and poof, the universe comes into being. And it has all of this structure and it has absolute form, and it goes in order. And I'm supposed to believe that all of that came from nothing as a lucky accident of what? I don't know where the accident's supposed to come from. And so that just sounds completely illogical to me. It makes far more sense to me. It plays in my reason. It just seems more reasonable to believe that this entire ordered physical universe came from something which is beyond the physical realm and beyond my understanding. Not in some great mystery way, but that we just aren't that advanced to understand it yet. Maybe when we're dead we will, but right now it's not something that is within our capacity to sort of demonstrate. And I mean, to be honest, calling it something, calling it is really unfortunate, because it's not an it or a something, because that implies a being, and I can't see it as a being, because being suggests form and suggests when we think of God as a supernatural being, again it sort of suggests part of the physical universe, whereas for me God is beyond that, outside of that. But it's not some great mystery, it's not magic, it's grounded in reason, because the other alternative is to accept everything came out of nothing. And how can the physical universe come out of nothing? It's easier for me, more logical for me, to believe it came out of something that I don't understand, and we call that thing, which is not a thing, we call it God. That strikes me the limited words that we have, the pronouns that we have, is just really unfortunate. But that is, to my mind, makes more sense. Which is why, and this whole struggle I have with pronouns makes me very connected to a chapter of the Quran, a very short chapter. It's called Surah Ikhlas, and it says of God, and describes God as the one, the unity, the uncaused cause of all creation, the uncaused cause of all creation, and there's nothing which you can compare. So that, I mean, it's so short, it's just a few lines long, it's so powerful though. And that chapter on the unity is so logical to me. It's the uncaused cause of all creation, and nothing can be compared onto it. And that unifying force, that ultimate unity, the one, makes the most sense to my mind, which is why I believe. But I know people, they'll say, okay, that makes some sense. You know, they've come with me on this journey so far. That makes some sense. But the world is so unjust. How can you believe in God when there's so much suffering and pain in the world? And for me and for my mind, actually the opposite is true. The injustices in the world strike me as so vast, so incomprehensible, that to believe only in this world seems unfathomable. The sheer scale of unbalanced and unresolved injustices leads me to the conclusion that there just has to be something beyond this world that has a moral arc that will balance things. And I believe ultimately that there will be justice at the cosmic level. That's not to say that we should stop fighting and striving and struggling for justice in this world. I don't have that, oh, well, you know, the poor will receive their reward in the future. No. The poor have rights over us. The oppressed have rights over us. The Quran describes it, be just, for justice is the closest thing to God consciousness. We can't just be sat around just accepting injustice. No, we strive and we do absolutely what we can to bring about justice in this world. But my experience of this universe, my experience of the world shows me that there is a tremendous amount of unresolved injustice, and I truly believe that there's balance in the cosmos at a cosmic level. There will be justice. So we keep trying to establish it in this world. But if justice is not forthcoming in the here and now, I truly believe it will be forthcoming in another dimension. And that the moral arc of the universe is long. And that none of us can escape our wrongdoing. And at the same time, not an atom's weight of good that we do will be missed. There is balance in the universe. So, to my mind, belief in God is natural, logical, and it upholds justice, but it's also more than that. It's transformative and powerful. Transformative and powerful, which is why I feel forces work really hard to diminish belief in God, ultimately. Yeah, which is why I feel that is a very real thing. Belief in God is not about some man with a big beard up in the sky, like Santa Claus handing out, gifts, if we've been good, here you go. A radical belief in God rejects superstition. It rejects materialism. It rejects nihilism, narcissism. It rejects and stands against, in principle, so much of the tribalism. A belief in God means that you hold nothing else at the center of your being, at the center, at your core. No ideology, no fashion, no tribe, no fad, no ism, no power other than believing in the all-powerful. And a profound belief in the one God, in the unity, it gives you the gift of being completely centered and rooted in that connectedness to the one, and takes away all fear. Nothing has any power over you because all power belongs to the one. And that's powerful stuff. Now, look, of course, I understand, and indeed I actually respect that not everyone believes in God. But what I would say is that theism, belief in God, and atheism, non-belief in God, theism and atheism are both matters of faith. Although I appreciate that many atheists don't like it being phrased like this, neither of us can actually prove our positions. And I reckon that's fine. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with an atheist holding their position. I don't need others to believe what I believe. I do find it, however, tiresome. I think that's the word I'll use. I find it tiresome. People who are willfully sneering at belief in God. The sort of intellectuals who think they're so advanced, put forward themselves as so advanced because they don't believe in fairy tales about a man in the sky. I don't believe in a man in the sky. Or we have this a lot in Britain, the comedians, they mock belief in God. Oh, and they kind of equate it to belief in Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and the Tooth Fairy, as if they're on the kind of same plane. And I find it really sad, actually, that their experience of theism, of belief in God, is so narrow, that their perspective of God is so small, so anthropomorphized. I find that really sad, because for me, God is vast, and it is extraordinary and enlightening and lifting. But their perspective is so small, so superstitious. And I find it really tedious when I'm told that my belief is irrational and superstitious because I'm holding on to fairy tales. I don't hold on to fairy tales. And I can't quite get that they believe in science and reason, as if belief in God defies both. it's not. Firstly, science isn't a belief. Science is something we work on to prove, although let's face it, a lot of science, is hypotheses. Well, that's fine. We have a scientific method and that's fine. Secondly, science isn't always good. Science isn't always neutral. It isn't always positive. Science has given us so much good in the world, but it's also given us the abilities for complete devastation. Hiroshima and Nagasaki is just examples of what science did in a mass scale in matters of minutes. And somehow the blame for violence gets put at religion's door. But I think, quite frankly, I can think of a fair few atheist regimes who have killed and persecuted millions of people throughout history. And thirdly, and most importantly actually to my mind in relation to this, belief in God and holding to scientific standards, belief in God and holding to scientific standards are not mutually exclusive. Indeed, I hold absolutely that the universe is a form of revelation, that it's designed, it's not random, and it's full of order, and in it there are signs for those who look. And go and look. The Quran is full of saying, go and look at the revelation within the created universe. Quran's dedicated to people who think. So you think, you want to go and look, you'll see my signs. And for me, science and belief in God is completely and utterly compatible and completely and utterly rational. I do, however, and if you've managed to reach this length of this video, I didn't mean to go on quite so long, but if you have, are you still here? I do have, however, a lot of sympathy for those who have had a negative experience of religion, and because of that negative experience of religion, they have come to a disbelief in God. And I have a lot of sympathy for those individuals, actually. What I would say is that religion and belief in God are very different things. And it's going to be quite subtle and slightly controversial probably, but that some people have made religion their God. But that is a complicated and quite frankly altogether different topic, which hopefully I'll go into in another video because it's really important to me. And finally, what I would say, I think it's important to recognize that believing in God is different to worshipping God. There are people who believe and don't worship. And I know many people who accept belief but reject worship. And I think, well, that is an important difference. I embrace worship in my life. It's a very important part of my life. And I hope that in another video we'll discuss what is worship and why I worship God, not just why I believe in God, but why I worship. And I think also believing in God is actually also very different to walking a path of God, walking a path of God consciousness, because you can stop at just belief. You can have belief and reject a God conscious life, actually. Belief in God and walking in a God conscious path is often hard. It's often challenging. It's often lonely. Although in my personal experience, it's a deeply fulfilling path. Anyway, these questions about religion, about worship, and about a life lived on the path of God, these, my friends, are questions for another day. They're big questions, and I look forward to talking about them with you. Until then, And until the next video, I wish you peace.